Hi, welcome along. It's Wednesday. It's a West London day. We're back on CADEsport. Every other Wednesday, we're here on CADEsport, bringing you some of the skills races based on steering. The leading should we say skills centre for online cyclists. These are the dates you can pick out the Wednesdays. You can see we're up to 14th of June, so back on the 28th of June. First of our 2 June expeditions. We've got a brand spanking new course for you, and of course built again by the replicator function, soon coming on CADEsport. We've got the South Rise Slip Steer. Now this one was put together deliberately because of the bends, because it is a skills race. But before we go there, let's have a look at the general classification. Vanessa leading both the general classification and the ladies group. In the ladies group, ahead of Kay and Vibeke. The ladies group, though, is best of 6 races, so that can sort itself out a little bit. But she's got snapping on her heels in the general classification. Homer Thompson, Erhan Ganolkar, and Frank Garcia just a bit behind. Andy Evans, Rene Ronaldez, Brett Smith, probably done a race or so less. Andy Webber, Carnage, Christian Weidman, who's been racing really well. Malcolm Murdoch, a regular racer, but went away and missed a couple. Kay Thompson in there, also doing well in the ladies. The Becky a little bit further back in 14th, but that's because she hasn't done every race. And not sure how many of the British riders are going to make it tonight. It is the middle of our summer, and if you ever visited Britain, you'll know it's famous for its rain. When we get sunshine, it absolutely draws everything to a halt because we're not used to the heat, and it is very, very hot here today in the UK. So anyway, talking about hot things, let's have a look at power-ups. Now, we put 2 power-ups in each race, 20 seconds each these last. This one this is an example of what they look like. They've got a name at the top that someone says inertia. We don't particularly use that one. It's got an icon. It tells you how long it is. Now, the ones that we'll have will be 20 seconds long. In fact, it actually says 10 in the example. But corner caper is one of the ones we use. They'll have 2 of these in the race. This basically means you can't crash on a corner whilst you've played it. You've got 20 seconds. Now, we've got 3 laps of this race. So 2 of those are not going to be able to be used frequently. And my recommendation is you save one till the very last bend on the last lap and power through that in the sprint for the finish. There's a very tight bend just before the finish. Now, this course was designed to have bends and make the most of Cade's wonderful steering and braking. But as I say, don't use those too early, because I think in the sprint finish, somebody is likely to crash and let somebody through. Here's a little map of the course. You can see the finish in the right-hand side at the top, the yellow line there. And you can see it zigzags in gratuitous little quadrangles of bends just to make it more interesting. Not all of the bends are so tight that you have to slow right down, but 1 or 2 are. You can see the power plants in there, again, 20 seconds. They give you extra power for 20 seconds. The corner caper allowed you to get around that corner without crashing. And if you look at the finishing line in the top right-hand corner, you'll see it's straight after a bend. So if you're racing for the finish and you haven't got one of those, you're going to have to be very careful on that last bend. Not too much in the way of climbing. You'll see on that long straight at the bottom of the course, there's one little climb just before it drops down and does a sharp left in what would be the finishing sprint straight if it weren't for that bend on the end. But as I say, this course was designed to be tricky. 3 laps, so all to play for. 1 minute 17 before the race starts. And I think it's all to play for. It'll be interesting to see who makes it tonight, given the weather conditions here. Top Jimmy's in there, I see. Actually, did I see Top Jimmy in there for a moment? First time I've seen Top Jimmy on the Cade race. I know Top Jimmy, a bit of a character from the London area, so that's absolutely fantastic. Nice to see Top Jimmy joining in one of our races. This is him here in the blue and white bubbly kit. I call it bubbly kit. It's almost like speech bubbles, isn't it? So I'm interested to see how Jimmy does. I don't know his real name, actually, but I do know him. Andy Evans in there for West London, as is Malcolm Murdoch, from plenty of US riders. Frank Garcia, Homer Thompson, Christian Weidman, Kay Thompson, and Vanessa Merhan representing the USA in that lineup today. And so 3 British riders. Top Jimmy, whom I know, he's not a West London rider. The 2 West London riders, Malcolm Murdoch and, of course, Andy Evans from Watford. So all to play for. We've probably got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 riders on there. Slightly less than we would have hoped for, but we'll take that given it's the height of summer, and off they go. I think there might be actually more than 9 riders. I might have misread that. Somebody's off to a storming start there. We're following, it's Malcolm Murdoch, actually, who's ahead of Top Jimmy. Top Jimmy giving it a bit of a chase now. Erhan's behind him with Frank Garcia. Now, Frank Garcia is a team player. He will try and help his teammates, particularly Vanessa, who's leading to Top Jimmy, swinging out there a little bit, but decides to sit on Malcolm's wheel. As we can see there, Frank Garcia leading the chase, only 1 second behind. Clutch of riders with Erhan and Homer Thompson all vying for the championship here. Erhan just getting himself up there. Christian Weidman sitting on the back, just behind René Valaldez. Andy Evans in front of him in the West London kit. Rebecca Bertrand, who is Danish. I keep saying she's Norwegian. Look at the crashes on that. This course was designed to cause crashes, and plenty of them went over. Vanessa, I see. Let's see who we got going over in this replay now. Oh dear. I didn't quite catch it. Erhan, Andy Evans, René, plenty of them. As I say, this course was designed to cause problems, and somebody's using a power-up. 2 power-ups being used there. Vanessa's crashed again by the looks of it. Power-ups coming out here. René Valaldez and Rebecca making the most of the power-ups early on. We're still on the first lap, and power-ups already being used to try and get themselves back into contention. Now, that's caused something of a gap now. Frank Garcia clearly ahead of Rebecca by a few seconds now. If Rebecca can get herself onto that front group, she's in a great place. She can see Frank Garcia's wheel there. This is going to be a good move if she can make it. Erhan's behind her, but he's got another 2 seconds, and then the gaps start getting bigger. Rebecca's made it back onto Frank. Erhan doing the chase now. They need to get back onto the wheel of those front 3, and I think the Thompson twins are both up there. They're not twins now. Oh, and it's Matthew Champlin who's gone down this time. This was designed to do this, and Matthew now, as we go into that bend, just taking it too tightly. Look at that, a tight 90-degree one. These courses are going up in advance of the races, so you can go and practice on them if you want. They're not sort of something you discover on the day. We've got I think we've got Malcolm, Christian Weidman there with Malcolm Murdoch, and who else is in that group? Top Jimmy's in there as well. Top Jimmy leading that group, cleverly going onto the inside line, taking it very, very well. I think Top Jimmy knows his online racing. It's the first time I've seen him on CADEsport, but he took that corner with aplomb, sits back on Malcolm's wheel now and takes the draft. Very cool as well. Malcolm on tri-bars by the looks of it. Never seen him in tri-bars in real life, but there he is, and Top Jimmy making the most of Malcolm's effort. Christian Weidman behind him, but then a full 7 seconds back to Rebecca. She's going to have to work to get back onto this group. Homer Thompson behind Rebecca now, and Rebecca using a power, and I think she used one earlier, so that's 2 power plants she's used, but I think she sees the advantage of getting away from the group behind her. Both Homer and Kay Thompson in the group. Vanessa's crashed again. Vanessa, the series leader, has now had 3 crashes by my calculation. So that is problematic. She's back in this punch. She's got Frank Garcia to help her. René Valaldez in that group. Erhan, and who else we've got? I imagine one of the Thompsons there. It's Homer Thompson, isn't it? So this little group, they're quite a way behind now, the leaders. The leaders, I mean, Rebecca's got 9 seconds on the Top Jimmy group, and then Rebecca chasing them. So this is a very fractured field, and it's the bends and the crashes that have done it. Malcolm Murdoch pulling away a little bit there from Top Jimmy and Christian Weidman. Top Jimmy making the effort, getting back on there, and Top Jimmy pulling away, using the corners. Top Jimmy making the most of the steering, isn't he? Absolutely. As I say, I don't know that he's. I think he's fairly new to CADEsport. He may tell us different, but I haven't seen him and certainly in our races. And he's taken to it like a duck to water, isn't he? Look at him, absolutely riding superbly, using the steering really, really well. So this is an excellent debut from Top Jimmy. No wonder he calls himself Top. So Malcolm Murdoch now out there in the lead in this little clutch of 3. Will the winner come from this group? We're now still 3.5 kilometres in. We've still got 10 to go. So we haven't finished lap 1 yet. And Top Jimmy sitting again on the wheel. Christian Weidman pulling up behind it. 11 seconds now back to Rebecca. She's fighting on her own. She can see them ahead on this long straight. And if you look at the course up in the top left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see they're on the long course. Now, there's a little bit of a rise just before it drops down to the left turn. And that might put even more pressure on Verbeke fighting on her own. It's not a very long hill, but it's just enough maybe to lose a second or two in the ratings. But Kay Thompson, Homer Thompson, Frank Garcia and Vanessa are now close behind, and they are probably going to catch Verbeke, as you can see from this clip now, which will make a more powerful group to catch up. You see the slogan at the bottom. This is the South Ruislip. South Ruislip is a suburb of London to the west, surprisingly. Or unsurprisingly, should I say. And in fact, quite a suburban area, so this is mainly residential housing area. But the actual roads are real, and this was created on CADEsport's replicator feature. So this group now, they could put a bit of power together and start making some efforts to catch up the group in front. But of course, somebody's going to have to expend themselves on the front. And right now, it looks like Homer Thompson's doing the hard work. As we come round now for the first time to that bend. Now, this is the bend they got on the finishing line. You've got to take that one carefully. And this caution car park, sharp bends, absolutely. This is the lead group. They all get round that one. I wouldn't be surprised, certainly with Malcolm, if he's been on this course during the week testing it out, because he's got the time to do it. And I think he'll make sure that he knows these bends and looks out for it. Christian Weidman taking the inside. Malcolm not bothering because the bend then twists around. They're all staying up well, though. And this is giving them a superb advantage. 17 seconds now back to Verbeke, but she is in a group, so they've got a bit more draft power to catch up. As they finish lap 1, nobody seemed to be crashing on that last bend. Will they all stay up on lap 2? It's cost them dearly now. They've got this big gap to the leaders, but it's we're only just starting lap 2 out of 3. And Malcolm Murdoch seems to have slipped off the front group. I'm not sure what's happened while we've been looking at other riders, but Malcolm now has to fight to get back on. If I was him, I'd probably move to the right. It's a slightly... and look at the crashes. Verbeke, Erhan and Kay. And I'm guessing that was just after the finishing line, or maybe on that bend at the finishing line. So more crashes there. And the gap now back is 18 seconds. So these three doing really, really well. Somebody putting in the... that's Vanessa now, putting in the power up. She's sitting on Frank's wheel. Very nice kit, actually, Vanessa. It's rather fetching, that one, isn't it? So Vanessa and I think Frank both using the power-ups now, trying to force their way back on. They know they've probably got a gap between them and Homer, so they're not going to drag the others back. I do like that kit, Vanessa. Very nice, actually. Frank now sitting side by side, and there's a crash. Malcolm Murdoch's gone at the front. This is going to split that front three, so it's now down at top Jimmy. And no, Malcolm Murdoch's still there, isn't he? At top. So Malcolm had a crash, but I think he's stayed in there. Certainly the red light came up. Vanessa crashed again there. I don't know what's going on. This is unlike Vanessa. She's usually pretty good. So despite my assumption that Malcolm's crash would split this group up, it seems that they're all together again. So go around this little chicane here. Top Jimmy taking it a little bit more... a little bit wider than the other two, but staying on and using the draft quite sensibly. Malcolm Murdoch in second place. Frank Garcia now still towing Vanessa along. They've got 10 seconds on the Homer Thompson group, but now this is a group. This is about the groups, isn't it? We've got the front three. We've then got, back to this group here, now we've got the second two, which is Frank and Vanessa, and group 3, which is Verbeke, Homer and Kay, and Renee Valadez. So this is this trio at the front. They're all actually managing to stay up. As I say, the red light did come up for Malcolm as if he'd crashed, but it seems to have not done a lot of damage. And we can see where everybody is. The lead group now coming down towards South Ruislip. And the whole race is called South Ruislip, but what people locally would know as South Ruislip is where they're coming down to. They're about to do a sharp left. And then they'll do a right, and at the end of that right, where the little yellow ramp is basically what most people locally would describe as South Ruislip. The Chase 2 and 3 groups now quite a way back from Frank and Vanessa. So whether or not Frank can tow Vanessa onto that lead group, I don't know. The gap's quite big, and with only 2 of them, can they hold off? Now these graphics are really, really good here. Chase 2 has got Kay Thompson, Verbeke, Homer Thompson, and Renee. Chase 4, Andy Evans. So Andy getting way behind there, and he's been doing quite well in the series. I think he'll carry on and make sure that he finishes this, because not least if you're actually having a go at the GC, you might as well take the points wherever you finish. Now you can see the lead group about to come around this bend, and they're going to go onto the long straight. Here's Andy at the back, Erhan behind him, and Erhan will be very disappointed with that, because Erhan's right up there in the series. Erhan now trailing by quite a bit, and Matthew behind him still. So I think the thing is, though, here we are. Matthew Charleston is at the back there. I think the thing to do, though, if you're in these positions, you just stay there and you stay up, because somebody's likely to crash on this particular course in front of you. So just sit there and take the points. Now, the front three, they're inseparable, aren't they? Absolutely amazing. They're on this long straight as we go towards Eastcote, and we turn left just before Eastcote and stay in South Ruislip. But these three are inseparable now, and they are they've got 5.6 kilometres to go. So I think unless somebody crashes, we are going to see a race between these three, because there's nothing to indicate that one of them is going to split from the others. Now, how many power-ups have they used? Because this is where it gets tactical, and I would suggest that Malcolm Murdoch's probably the most experienced of the three. Apologies, Christian, if that's not true. Top Jimmy will have the least experience of CADE power-ups. But that said, I don't know if he's been racing in other races, and I haven't seen him. But I know Top Jimmy from elsewhere. And as I say, this is my first time I've seen him on CADEsport. So does he know? Vanessa's on her own. Frank is not with Vanessa. Frank's dropped back. I'm not sure why we've missed that. Maybe Frank had a crash. Frank Garcia's back at the René Vanaldez, Kay Thompson and Homer Thompson group. Vibecke's still on the front doing all the work. And Vibecke's working extra hard. The Danish rider. I shall make a point of saying she's Danish, because she did complain to me for calling her Norwegian when she's clearly Danish. And I don't know why. I do appreciate that both flags have red and white and they've got a cross in them, but I'm well aware of what the Danish and Norwegian flags look like. So that was very poor on my part. I'm very sorry, Vibeke. Power up there. Christian Weidman uses that on the finishing line to get round that bend. And he's probably using that at the end of lap 2 on the basis that if he's got 2 of them and he uses them at the end of each lap, that's not a bad place to pick. Certainly in our previews, we did suggest that was a good place to do it. Malcolm Murdoch now there's a bit of a split here. Top Jimmy's dropped off a little bit. Kay Thompson has crashed. The red light coming up for Kay Thompson, so that will thin that group out a little bit. Top Jimmy getting a little bit left behind. And it's interesting that Christian and Malcolm have chosen Oh, Malcolm's gone. I think he tried to go around the outside too fast, but he didn't go down for long, did he? Top Jimmy gets around that corner. We think he did anyway. Let's have a look at Malcolm. I think he's just trying to get away too much. Look how quickly he's up, though. That was very, very quick recovery, and he hasn't lost too much ground. And Christian is using the power-up. He sees the opportunity to break free. They are on the last lap now. Christian trying to create a gap between him and Malcolm, and Christian coming over to the inside to take that corner. Will that be decisive? Homer Thompson now crashes. Another crash back in that other group. Group 3, that, I think. Vanessa on her own. And this will probably be thinking. Kay Thompson's down as well. Lots and lots of crashes. This is what these tight bends were all about. And they have delivered exactly what they were designed to do. Not that we want everybody to crash, but Andy Evans now gone down as well. Frank Garcia now way back. There's a rider just in front of them. It's for Becky, isn't it? She's got a bit of a gap. She's had to do a lot of work on her own today, though. So this has been no doubt a hard race for Becky from Denmark. And I shall say it again, she's Danish. She's had to work very, very hard. And I think be interesting to see whether she catches Vanessa or not. It's probably too big a gap. Vanessa taking the corner caper to get round that one. Vanessa with 3.1 kilometres to go. Probably working out that actually by creating a gap between her and Vibeke. It's about 11 seconds now. She can probably hold that. René Valaldez goes down. That leaves Frank on his own unless René gets up very, very quickly. Vanessa now a good 12 seconds in front of Vibeke. This is relevant to the women's championship. Everybody goes quite wide on that little chicane, don't they? And I think Vanessa can see Top Jimmy, who's got left from the other group. Now, Top Jimmy's going to have to work to make sure that Vanessa doesn't catch him. Now, Vanessa's an experienced rider on CADEsport. She knows how to do the bends. She knows the tactics. She's got him within sight. I think Top Jimmy's going to have to push himself. 2.5 kilometres to go. It's quite a big gap, but don't bet against Vanessa. She leads the championship. Can Top Jimmy hold on? Looks to me like the gap's narrowing a little bit. And Malcolm has closed that gap quite a lot on Christian. He's going to catch him, I think. This could make a fantastic finish. 2.2k to go. Who's got the power-ups left? Who can use a corner caper on that last bend? And we know that Christian recently used one of the power plants to get extra power. And I wouldn't put it past somebody when they get onto the straight to use one of those and try and create a gap, and then use the corner caper at the end. Christian just getting a little bit away from Malcolm on that bend, did the bend very, very well and gained a little bit of ground. Now, they've got this left hand coming up. This is into the Victoria Road on South Ruislip, and Christian uses another power-up. Now, we know that he's now used both of his power plants, but I think he's gambling on the gap being too big for Malcolm to make up. How many power plants has Malcolm got left? The gap isn't massive. Maybe Christian's tiring and he's just doing this to hold the gap rather than extend it, although it is extending. But is it enough? 1.5k to go. That's quite a big ask to catch all that way. They're on the straight now. They're on the long straight. If Malcolm's got a power up left and uses it now, he could, in fact, bridge that gap. Looks like Top Jimmy is going to lap a rider at the back. I'm guessing that might be Christian. Yes. Tommy now and Top Jimmy now he's quite a way ahead of Vanessa. I think he probably about 10 seconds, so should be able to hold that. About 9 seconds, closing the gap. 1 kilometre to go. I don't think Vanessa's going to make that up. And I think Top Jimmy has extended the lead. So, Christian and Malcolm, what's happening at the front? This is where it's going to be raced out. 1 kilometre to go. Neck and neck. Who's got the power-ups? We know that Christian's used both of his power plants. Who's got a corner caper? Maybe both of them if they've got any sense. Malcolm sitting on the wheel. It's cat and mouse. 800 metres to go now. Malcolm for West London. Christian Weidman from the United States of America. Britain and America. It's a transatlantic tussle here as we head towards the top of the straight. They go over the peak of it. There's a slight descent in this left turn. And Malcolm going out to the right to take the wider angle on the bend that they've just done. 5% notice there. Malcolm is just edging it at the moment. There is 500 metres to go. But remember, the sharp bend could be decisive. And Christian is not giving any ground, but Malcolm just pulling away a couple of metres. I thought Christian might be tired, and that's why he was using the power plant, but maybe he was just using it up. But there's a bit of a gap appearing. Christian closing it down, though. Is Christian going to finish the strongest? It looks like he might be able to go past Malcolm here as they race towards that bend. Who is in danger? Somebody's got, and it looks like Christian's got the strength. And Malcolm puts on the corner caper. They've both got a corner caper, and Christian does it. Absolutely thrilling finish. Well done, Christian. I really thought Malcolm had that with 500 metres to go. Top Jimmy coming in now, safely 11 seconds ahead of Vanessa. Great ride from Top Jimmy on his debut in the series. Great to have you along, mate. Terrific to see you on CADEsport at last as he comes around that last corner, making sure he stays up. And Vanessa's going to come in next. Homer not far behind. Don't think Homer's going to overtake over Becky's. In fact, overtaken Vanessa. Everybody using the corner caper except Vanessa. But it finishes in that order. Becky, Vanessa, and Homer. So Becky stealing a few points on Vanessa for the ladies' championship. Less important in the general classification, as Becky hasn't done every ride. Frank Garcia coming in now. Kay Thompson will be next. Renee Velardes, Kay Thompson using the corner caper to stay safely in there. Matthew, I think, has got another lap to go, and you can see he's silhouetted to indicate that he's on a different lap. Rene uses a power up on that last corner as advised. Andy Evans will be disappointed with that. He's been doing quite well in the series. Maybe it's just the bends and a little bit more experience on those. We'll probably see Andy through in the future. But the big shock of the day is Erhan all the way back there, an experienced CADEsport rider finishing way back there. Obviously, crashes doing it. I mean, I don't know if Erhan, there may be other reasons as well. I mean, who knows? He might have done a big ride the day before and there's not a lot in his legs. Who knows? Maybe he's got technical problems and all sorts. We can see him in the picture. He's not smiling, and I think he will be disappointed with that. But you take the points in this, and remember, if you only finish 10 places back, you can only lose 10 points really in the competition, because that's it's the number of places back in this particular competition. Andy Evans, again, another rider that probably be slightly disappointed with his finish there, but Erhan now just coming in on that finish. Does he bother with the corner caper? No, he doesn't, and he takes the next spot. So we've got Matthew still to come on one lap behind, I believe, is the last rider. So here we have Erhan again. Looking at the details. Erhan was 11th, so 12. I think what we've got. So Christian won the race, as we saw. Malcolm left. It's Matthew, isn't it, that's still to finish. So Top Jimmy, he's the king UK. You can tell this guy's got a sense of humour, can't you? Top Jimmy, he's the king. He's certainly a top lad, there's no doubt about that. Anyway, Malcolm Murdoch and Top Jimmy mean two Brits, but the title goes to the United States of America. That transatlantic tussle goes to Christian Weidman with a fantastic finish right on the end. Rebecca Bertram, who had to ride so much on the front, getting a really great fourth position there, ahead of Vanessa. I think Vanessa be too worried. She's not going to lose too many points. And her rivals, Homer Thompson and Erhan, were both behind her. Homer Thompson taking 6th, Frank Garcia 7th, Kay Thompson 8th, and from Lafayette there. And René Valadez ending up 9th after a series of crashes. Andy taking it rather slowly and cautiously by his standards, 10th, Erhan 11th, and of course we have Matthew in 12th, yet to finish. So fantastic racing once again, and didn't the crashes make a difference on this course? Now, we do vary the courses, so they are different in every edition. Don't assume that and hurdles next time. Now, this is a largely downhill race, and the courses are designed, as I say, very much with a view to making every race different, so that whatever skills you got, you get your chance one day. This is a largely downhill course, so it's going to be about how fast you can go on the downhill, which is an odd test, really, isn't it? It's not one you sort of kind of naturally assume that you would put into these sort of races, but it will be a lot of fun. There's a couple of little sort of short ramps towards the end. This is why we call it hurdles. So you go downhill for a very long time, and then right at the end, there's a couple of small ramps, which might just split any small groups. So it looks to be an exciting race. Let's hope it matches this one. I think there was some superb racing today. I have to take my hat off to Christian Weidman, Malcolm Murdoch. You gave us a great finish. But Top Jimmy, what a debut. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Vibeke, for riding so heroic. Making such a great race. Commiserations to Andy and Erhan, and of course Matthew further back. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget, make it CADEsport. See you soon.